Hello, welcome again to the DraftKings Daily Trot. Of course, you know us by now. I'm Big Italy 42. He's Josh Shepardson at BChad50, and we're talking about tonight's action on DraftKings. Obviously, a huge slate. Friday's always a great day to get yourself in some contests. Of course, your week is over. I mean, not for those of us that work weekends, but a lot of you, you got your 9 to 5. Plenty of time to get yourself in some lineups here before lock tonight, and lots of good options at pitcher. So that's where we're going to spend the bulk of our time today.
Yeah, it's not quite last Friday's ridiculous throw every ace on the hill slate, but we certainly got some good ones on the mound and a handful of GPP options that I think are going to fly under the radar of some gamers tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go ahead and get things kicked off here with Matt Harvey. Obviously, if we're talking pure talent-wise and just stuff, Matt Harvey is your best option. He's also a pretty big favorite at home against Miami, who we know one of the worst in the league against right-handed pitching, lowest team ISO against righties. We don't need to tell you probably about Matt Harvey. You know how good Matt Harvey is. He had a bad start last time. Maybe that keeps his ownership a little bit lower, probably more for GPPs there with the lower ownership. But I think you and I agree he's got to be your top cash game option, and especially on a two-pitcher site here, you can finagle the other guy. There's some other options for your second pitcher, and I think Harvey should be one of them in cash games.
Yeah, Harvey's my top cash games pick, and I'll probably roster him on 100% of my cash games rosters. I agree, though. I do think you've got some other options in GPPs. I think a lot of people are going to own Harvey in GPPs, making it all the more potentially profitable to spin off of him and grab somebody priced near him that has similar upside, because if you hit on your pitcher and Harvey does go out there and throw a clunker, you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of the field.
Yeah, and speaking of someone around that same price tag, Cole Hamels at $10,200, just $400 less than Matt Harvey. Basically the exact same size of favorite, just over 160. We're at 165 right now. Colorado in Philadelphia. And he's coming off a monster start 2 starts ago in Coors Field, where we went 7 1/3, just 1 earned run, 7 Ks, 1 walk, 11 ground ball outs. So once again, Cole Hamels should be a pretty popular play today. He's pitching well. Colorado is just god-awful against lefties this year. You look at their numbers, 25.4% strikeout rate, a team ISO of 0.091. So they're not hitting the ball hard. They are striking out. They're not hitting the ball at all, actually, against lefties. So, you got your guys in your tournament options. We'll get to here in a minute if you want to play against Cole Hamels, but I love Cole Hamels in this spot tonight.
Yeah, I think he's my second favorite cash games pick, and he's, I think, going to be the most popular spin-off for GPPs where people are looking to differentiate in Harvey. So I think he's going to have pretty high ownership himself in GPPs, but it's understandable. Upside is immense. Pitched really well at Coors and gets a break from Coors, pitching at home at Citizens Bank. Against a lineup that, just as you pointed out, struggles mightily with left-handed pitchers. My favorite guy at that price point in GPPs, namely, not so much in cash games, because I do worry that he's not going to get the win, that the game could go to the bullpens, or that he could just be a tough luck loser or get a no decision. And that's James Shields at $9,800 against Pittsburgh at home. He's backed at Petco Park. Gotta love the ballpark. Lowest overall total on the night at 6. Team total for the Pirates of just 3. Shields second in the league in swinging strike rate, I believe. Definitely second in strikeout rate. Immense strikeout upside. Really like what he can do there. Missing bats. So big Shields fan tonight. The Pirates have definitely settled in after a very, very slow start. So it's not quite the cupcakes that they look like they were early on in the season. But Shields has missed bats at a really high rate. And opposing Francisco Liriano does have the potential to yield him some run support. If we get messy Francisco Liriano tonight, then he could get some run support early. Liriano, basically, GPP only option. I'm not totally enamored with him. I think he's only a secondary GPP option. There's enough high ceiling, higher floor options than Liriano that I don't really think you need to go out on the limb with him today. Obviously, when he's on. Look at his strikeouts in his last start. He struck out 12. The guy can really miss bats, but there are enough hitters in that Padres lineup that can really touch up lefties that are also patient. I mean, Derek Norris can work walks. He's got some power. Justin Upton is a nightmare for left-handed pitchers. Matt Kemp not doing well this year, but historically good against left-handed pitchers, and is above average on the year against lefties. So, I mean, they've got guys that can hit lefties a bit. I'm fading Liriano. I understand it if you want to use him as a secondary GPP option, but I'm taking Shields in that contest.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm on the same side there. Maybe a single bullet for Liriano for me in GPP since I'll have a lot of entries. But if you only have a few, I don't think the Liriano is going to be. He wouldn't be on mine if I only had a couple. A guy that you and I both love here. You know where I'm going with this one. Trevor Bauer, in a great spot today. He's had a couple really good starts. Got off to a great start this season. Struggled a little bit. Then now he's really starting to get it going again. Strikeout rate 23.6%. Swinging strike rate over 10. Ground ball rate you don't love. It's under 37%. But in Safeco Field against the Seattle team that we saw what Corey Kluber did to him last night. This is just not a very good offense at all. I mean, none of these big bats producing at all. Mariners 23rd in the league. Team Woba against righties, 22.6% strikeout rate. As long as the command is there for Trevor Bauer, he has a monstrous ceiling tonight.
Yeah, and the nice thing with Bauer is even if he's just a little bit off and he puts on a few runners, he does have that swing and miss stuff to kind of bail himself out with some strikeouts. So the strikeouts definitely elevate the floor a little bit, definitely give you a little bit more comfort. It's not a perfect comp, but I mean, Liriano's been doing that for years, walking batters and getting himself out of jams with the strikeout stuff. We've seen guys make it work. Bauer's capable of that, and the scary thing is when he is filling up the strike zone, then his upside is as great as just about anybody on the slate today.
Yeah, and he's been pitching deep in the game, 7+ innings in 3 straight. So you got to like that. One other guy, I think you and I both like. We'll touch on a couple of names here quick before we move on to hitters. Anibal Sanchez, nice GPP option against the Angels team that struggles against righties. And then if you're looking cheap, a couple guys that we both like. Nate Carnes, he pitched well at Baltimore. Looks like a really tough matchup, but at $5,900, he did face them on May 3rd in Baltimore. Went 5 innings. This isn't a guy that pitches deep, but 5 innings, just 2 hits, 1 walk, 4 Ks, 17.5 DK points. If you can get a similar performance like that out of him tonight, you're going to love that. And then I'll throw out, you want to get probably one side of this if you're looking for GPPs for cheap, either Lance McCullers or Carlos Rodon. I think either one is a nice option at 5,100 or 52. And then there's someone in between these guys. Well, not in between those two. In between the cheap guys and 8K guys that you really like. So who you got there?
Yeah, my GPP dark horse, my darling for tonight is $6,400 Ruby De La Rosa. I think a lot of people are going to be scared off of the total at Miller Park tonight. The team total for the Brewers, according to Pinnacle Sports, is 4 runs, which, again, is going to deter some people from using him. He's a slight underdog against Jimmy Nelson, who I've talked on the podcast before. I do like Jimmy Nelson, but tonight, give me Ruby De La Rosa against a very right-handed heavy Brewers lineup. The only left-handed real threat in that lineup is Adam Lind, and you know what? I can live with him being the only left-handed threat in the lineup. De La Rosa's been nails against right-handed batters, striking out the world. Really love his swinging strike rate. Has given up some hard hit balls, but again, that's largely the product of lefties giving him some fits. So the Brewers just don't have the lefties to exploit that matchup. I really like Ruby De La Rosa's price point at $6,400. Allows you to do a lot with your roster, even if you want to roster one of the top pricey arms like a Harvey or a Shields or a Hamels. That $6,400 price tag brings that average salary for your pitcher spots down substantially and still gives you the wiggle room you need to flesh out a nice roster for hitters.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you there. I hope you get in some of my GPP rosters as well. And as we move on to catcher, I think you and I are in agreement. Evan Gattis against the lefty at home. Got to be your top option, $4,400 there. You got some other options. Also, a lot of injuries. I mean, you look at through the top of this catcher lineup.
A lot of red.
Guys not playing, yeah. Carlos Santana is day-to-day right now. They say he may not play until Tuesday. Don't expect him to be playing tonight. I don't love Brian McCann in that matchup. I do like Buster Posey against a Mike Fultonwitz. I'll be looking that way. And then Chris Capuano, as we know, not very good against lefties. So I think Stephen Vogt is in a fine spot as well.
Yeah, looking a little bit deeper, maybe you grab some Wilson Ramos at Great American Ballpark. $3,600. Desclafini much tougher on righties than lefties, but still have to love the park factors at Great American. So if you're chasing a little bit of power, not a bad play. $3,200 is where you're going to find my favorite catcher of the night slotted. Derek Norris. He hammers left-handed pitching. He's patient, so he can wait out these lengthy at-bats against Francisco Liriano, make him throw strikes. He could certainly do that. And then GPP action only. If you are going away from Cole Hamels, as long as Willian Rosario is playing first base, which I expect him to spell Ben Paulson because Paulson is left-handed hitter, Willian Rosario looks pretty good at 3,100. Big park factor for home runs at Citizens Bank, so I do like Willian Rosario. Beyond that, I mean, it's never a bad position to punt. Look for lineup spots. Look and see where guys are slotted. Maybe you find somebody in the dumpster bin, on a dumpster dive mission, and get yourself some salary relief at catcher.
Yeah, two guys that stick out to me. If you don't trust Steven Strasburg, which I don't, Brian Pena 2,500 or Tucker Barnhart at 2K. Both those guys really cheap. If you want to maybe try to take advantage in a good ballpark against guys really struggling.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment completely.
All right, first base options here. Prince Fielder is absolutely on fire right now. $5,500. You got to pay a nice price tag for him. He did go 0 for 4 yesterday, but we'll let that slide considering he was getting 3 hits and he had 3 hits in 4 straight games. The guy's finally hitting for power. Incredible numbers. If you can pay for him, I think he makes for an awesome option tonight. Jose Abreu against Lance McCullers is a great option as well. Then you're looking at other options up top here. Not a whole lot of guys I love paying for. Lucas Duda is really hot right now. He gets Dan Herron. You know I am not a big fan of Dan Herron. He's got 2 double-dong games in his last 6, including a home run squeezed right in between there. So if you're looking for big-time upside and a guy who's actually hitting the ball well outside of power as well, Lucas Duda is one of my favorite options at 4,600.
Yeah, I also like Miguel Cabrera, especially if you want to stack against lefty Hector Santiago. A lot of that Tigers lineup really does a lot of damage against left-handed pitching, so grabbing Miguel Cabrera, hitting in the 3-hole, whether you slot him at first or third, looks pretty good to me. Adrian Gonzalez, $4,600 is not a bad price point for him. Chris Davis, talking about home run or bust. Guy can find the seats, has a multi-home run game on his slate in the last week. So Chris Davis against Carnes looks pretty good at Camden Yards. And then guy that I like is a GPP play because I think he's going to be low owned based on his price point. $4,200 Chris Carter. Now you can slot him at first base or in the outfield. We know he's got big power. He's dropped in the order. So I think he's going to fly under the radar. He's $200 more than Joey Votto, for instance. Obviously, we really like Joey Votto on the podcast. Justin and I have spoken to that quite often. $4,000, so you're not going to see a lot of people spending an extra $200 to roster Chris Carter, which means that if he has one of those double-dunk nights, you're way ahead of the field. Ryan Howard, $4,100. Chet Bettis, not a good pitcher, struggles with lefties and righties. Howard's actually locked in, namely against right-handed pitching, so not a terrible GPP option if you're looking to find the seats. And beyond that, not liking a lot of cheap options, but there is one that stands out to me. Chris Capuano is not good against, well, any hitter. Yeah. And Billy Butler, really good against left-handed pitching. So $3,700 is some nice salary relief if you're looking to spend heavily elsewhere.
Agreed. If you're trying to save some money, get yourself that big bat down there. At second base, we actually have a lot of options tonight. We've got Jason Kipnis, 4,700. If you've been watching baseball at all over the past month, you know that Jason Kipnis is locked in. I think he's batting like 440 in the month of May. So he's hitting lefties, he's hitting righties. Really doesn't matter when or where. Of course, we've got Altuve against the lefty, always in play. Then Brian Dozier against the lefty, always in play. I think Kipnis and Altuve more of cash game options for me. I think Dozier's more of my tournament option. Obviously, Dustin Pedroia is going to be popular. He had 3 hits last night, and the day before that, he did nothing but hit 2 home runs and have 4 RBIs. So he's going to be popular as well. And then I think you've got a guy a little bit below there that you're including in one of your stacks.
As I alluded to with Miguel Cabrera, I like the Tigers tonight against the lefty, which means I like $4,000 Ian Kinsler. Does his best work against left-handed pitchers, so grabbing him against Hector Santiago, probably going to be in stacks only for me. The price point's fine to use him in other games, but as you and I talked about, not a ton of home run upside, not stealing as much as he used to. More or less, you're looking for him to get on a couple times, maybe score a few runs, drive a few in, which is great in a stack. Obviously, he's not bad standalone either, but I don't think I'm going to sacrifice that upside where I'm not using Tiger stacks. I think I'd rather go with you and grab Dozier. Maybe grab $4,400 Jose Altuve. That price point just feels wrong to me. It feels wrong in the sense that it's going to feel so right to own him. And then another option that I really like a lot is $4,100 Colton Wong, who I think is going to be very popular tonight. Gets Mike Bolsinger, a right-handed pitcher, which means that you're getting that lefty-righty advantage with Wong. He's thrived as the leadoff hitter. He hits right in front of line drive machine. Matt Carpenter has a little bit of power, has a little bit of speed, really has everything that you're looking for. And I still think, I don't want to say that people are sleeping on him because they're certainly not, but compared to the Altuves and the Kipnises and the Doziers of the world, I think that Wong might fly just a touch under the radar with these favorable matchups for the other second baseman. But this is a very long-winded way of saying second base is loaded tonight, and you've got really good options at the top.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple cheap options out for you. Logan Forsythe, $3,300. He's been hitting the ball really well, now starting at first base. He has second base, third base eligibility, and Brandon Phillips should be back today. If you are trying to pick on Steven Strasburg, $3,500 is not a bad price for him either. All right, third base here. Josh Donaldson is $5,600 today against a righty. Certainly you can play him in tournaments. I won't be doing that. I like to pay that price tag. I don't like to pay that price tag at all, I should say. But if I'm going to pay that price tag, it'll be against the lefty. Trevor May, not a great righty, but I don't think he's terrible. I won't be paying that tag. What I'll probably be doing is getting Miguel Cabrera at third base, since you can take advantage of that at DK. Already mentioned him, of course, though. Adrian Beltre against the knuckleballer Stephen Wright. Obviously consider him in your tournaments at home. And then you look at other guys. You already mentioned Chris Davis. He's got his spot there. Jimmy Paredes is the guy I love to target. I do like Nate Carnes for tournaments, but Jimmy Paredes, the guy does it all. He's got some power. He's got speed. He gets on base, batting .340 on the season. So $4,300. He's one of my favorite plays up near the top there.
Yeah, I'll throw in $4,500 Matt Carpenter as well, especially if you want to go ahead and hook him and Colton Wong and try and really take advantage of that top part of the order for the Cardinals. Manny Machado, $4,300, makes it a third Oriole that we're touting at third base. And then, as we've said, I mean, Steven Strasburg's not right now. The secondary pitches just aren't there for him. Velocity's fine, but if you're just pumping in fastballs, I kind of like Todd Frazier's ability to turn a fastball around. Get him at Great American Ballpark, $4,200. Last name that I'll give you in the pricey-ish range is $4,000. Or I'm sorry, $4,000. My eyes are failing me right now, and I've got contacts in, so I've got no excuse. $4,000 Nolan Arenado at Citizens Bank Park against Cole Hamels. We both like Hamels today, and I think a lot of people are going to, which means that if you grab Arenado and he goes long ball or he has a good game, you're going to have a low-owned player that does very well on the road. Ceiling is about as high as anybody at third base. So I really like Nolan Arenado a lot at $4,000 today. And then Brian Dozier's teammate, the guy who doesn't quite get enough love for hitting left-handed pitching, Trevor Plouffe, $4,100, usually gets a favorable lineup spot against lefties. Mark Burley, not exactly aging like fine wine at this point. He did for a while. Now he's starting to maybe turn to vinegar or something not quite so fine. I think Plouffe, I think Dozier, these hitters for the Twins are going to have some success against Burley tonight. And Plouffe at $4,100 looks like some nice exposure to me.
Yeah, and I'll throw out Alex Guerrero as well. Third base outfield eligibility, $2,900. Home runs in 3 of his last 4 appearances. And I say appearances because one of them was a pinch hit home run. But guy's got big-time upside if he's in that Dodger lineup tonight. And for cheap, too.
Definitely.
All right, shortstop. Hanley Ramirez finally got off the schneid and got himself a home run the other day. It was a bomb, too. So also had a double that day. Maybe he's finally back. Obviously, Giovanni Gallardo, about average now. Nothing that you're worried about with him. Ian Desmond's in play for tournaments, but Dace Sclafani much worse against lefties than righties. So I think I'd prefer going down a little bit. So a guy like Johnny Peralta at $4,100. Or if you're going to be paid around that top dollar, I don't mind Jose Reyes at $4,200, who, as we know, can just kind of do it all. And since he's come back, all he's done is hit a double in every single game.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like it's a good thing. You want to hit doubles, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
We like
Last
doubles.
time I checked. You prefer homers, but you'll take doubles.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if we're not getting greedy, doubles are pretty good. I like Tulo again. Rough year so far, but we know he hammers lefties. Again, if GPP really only for me. $4,000 depressed price tag basically reflects his struggles so far this year. But gets Cole Hamels, not an easy lefty by any stretch, but going to probably have some lower ownership as a result of his struggles out of the gate and because Hamels is good and people are going to be using him. I like my boy Marcus Semien against Chris Capuano at home. $3,800 is a really nice price tag. You can use him at third base as well, but if I'm using Semien, I'm using him at shortstop. I'm not messing around with him at third base. You got other really good options there. As a San Francisco Giants fan, it feels good to say Brandon Crawford is really hitting the ball hard. $3,800 against Mike Foltynewicz. Fangraphs had a really nifty piece up, I believe it was last week or earlier this week, looking at Crawford's improved ISO every year in the league. Had some pretty cool GIFs in it. Looking at his development, I guess, as a hitter, his mechanics changes, and the fact that really the biggest thing with him is he's gotten much better at hitting fastballs. Mike Foltynewicz leans on his fastball heavily. You can kind of do the math. Crawford looks pretty good at $3,800 to me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'll get him in a lot of my GPPs. I love that upside with him. And as we move on to the outfield, we'll try to keep this short for you because we could talk all day about all the options on this big slate. Bryce Harper's $5,200. He gets Dace Clefini, who's awful against lefties. Get yourself some Bryce Harper today because in that ballpark, in that matchup, good luck, Mr. Anthony Dace Clefini, because he's not going to be in a good spot. You get Mike Trout for just $4,800 tonight. You like that. Michael Brantley, I love Michael Brantley. He's $4,700. One of the best hitters in the game. Give this man some respect. He strikes out 4% of the time. Get him in some of your tournament lineups as well.
Definitely. I'll throw a couple more names out there. Justin Upton, $4,400. What he does to baseballs that are thrown by left-handed pitchers is probably illegal in most states. He really puts a beating on them. I love the price tag at $4,400. Might kind of slip through the cracks there. Big fan of the Tigers outfield in general. So that's Cespedes, that's JD Martinez, and that's Rajai Davis. All hit left-handed pitching at a high clip. I think they can bum rush Santiago tonight. So you're going to want your shares of all of them. Matt Kemp could be a nice swerve tonight, $4,100. Kind of in the midst of a bit of a slump right now, but still hitting an above average clip against left-handed pitching this year and a well above average clip over the last 3+ years. $4,000 is a guy named Jay Bruce that you and I both like a lot against Steven Strasburg. Strasburg just hasn't been quite right. And by hasn't been quite right, I mean he's been an abomination on the hill lately. So I want some exposure to him. Then if you're looking a little bit lower, $3,800 Jock Peterson. I mean, he is what you look for in GPPs: power, patience, and punch outs. Basically, it's you're getting something good or you're getting something awful, and the likelihood of him reaching the seats is about as great as the likelihood of a golden sombrero. So take your pick, but get him in there and get some upside.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to throw out my favorite cheap option. I know you've heard this name from me before. Chris Colabello, $3,100. The guy's just been batting .386 since he came up. 1.018 OPS. He's putting the ball in play. He's hitting for some power, too. He's been batting around fifth in that lineup. $3,100 is a great price tag for this guy tonight against average pitcher in Trevor May.
Yeah, last name I'll throw out there, and it's all about salary relief. $3,000 David Murphy. He's actually seen quite a bit of time hitting cleanup. If he slots in that spot again right behind Michael Brantley, we love Brantley. Like the odds of Brantley being on for him. Jason Kipnis has been an on-base machine this month as well. So $3,000 is a pittance to pay for somebody that gets to hit cleanup and somebody who's been hitting the ball fairly well as well. I mean, not exactly lighting the world on fire, but an 805 OPS isn't exactly trash either.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, that's going to wrap things up for us. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to this YouTube channel also if you like what we're doing and we're helping you out. And find us and find our content at dailyfantasycafe.com for tonight's slate and every other slate. And we'll see you guys next time.